Sifuna is now Ruto's living hell. You know, for about 3 years, people were saying Ruto must go. People were saying, even in Western and elsewhere in the country, you can say Ruto Tawe. But they didn't seem to know who should replace him.
You're saying he should go,
so what's next? The Gen Zs were saying they had a cause, but they were leaderless. They were partyless. And they were tribeless. Tribeless was good. Partyless and leaderless was bad. But they had a cause. And now, they have this millennial, who is organized and who is ready. He's going to need to be more and better organized than he is. But he seems to have just come in place organically. So, Ruto, who thought that he had wrapped up Western, he had wrapped up Luo Nyanza, he had taken ODM, he had inherited Raila's constituency and all he needed to do. I think his thinking was very simplistic, that get rid of Gachagua, get everything that Raila Odinga got, top it up with the Kalenjin vote, and I'm home and dry. Because if he gets everything that Raila Odinga had, then he's falling short of what he needs if we assume that everything is constant. He's falling short of what he needs by only 240,000 votes. So if he can inherit everything that Raila had intact, and he tops it up with the Kalenjin vote, he still becomes president. But what Raila had has gone haywire. So it is living hell. His dreams are scattered. You go to Luo Nyanza, and the opinion polls are showing that the strand of ODM that is with him is about 40%. In fact, it is 42%. The one which has gone in Nyanza is 58%. You go to Western, Sifuna has run away with 85%. You come to Nairobi, he has run away with 80%. You go to the coast, he has run away with 75%. You go to Central, he has run away with 100%. In fact, it will only be a waste of time. When you are a wise man, you recognize your limitations. In academia, when we are writing thesis, we always say these are the limitations to this study that I set out to find out about the following, to establish the following. And I used this method to investigate and to reach my conclusions. But these were the limitations, the limiting factors. These are the limitations of the spaces I did not go into. These are limitations that may make my conclusions incomplete and inviting further investigation. When you are competing for office, you must also recognize the limits and limitations. There are 3 kinds of territories when you are campaigning for elections in office. You have got your strongholds, which think that you are the person. Then you have got hardcore spaces that have no room for you. Then you have got what you would call the no man's land. Anyone could go there and get what they want. Now, if you mistake any of those 3 for either of the other 2, you are in trouble. So, Mount Kenya is hardcore. it was soft. It was a stronghold in the past. And it was a stronghold largely because, anyway, it was voting against Raila Odinga traditionally. And Ruto thought it was his vote. Now it has reverted to its hardcore status. And it doesn't matter how many forays he makes into the mountain, it's gone. But he's spending time in that hardcore area. Western is another hardcore area. It was standing with Raila Odinga not as the individual, but as a representation of a certain vision of the country. And when Raila Odinga went and started working with William Ruto, that region started saying, no, this is not what we stand for, this is not what we know you for, this is not what we want. And Edwin Sifuna became the expression of that resistance. In the demised post-Raila Odinga existence that we now find ourselves in, Sifuna has become a sharper and more visible flame of that vision, and is articulating it with a lot of clarity, with a lot of maturity. And the region is saying, yes, this is what we understand. This is the Kenya that we want, the one that you are talking about. Now these other fellows, Kenya Kwanza, are coming with baits on hooks, saying, oh, we are going to give you the number 2 position. We are going to give it to Musalia. The next day they say we are going to give it to Wetangula. The third day they say they are going to give it to Oparanya. Sometimes they say they are going to give it to each one of those 3 on the same day in different parts of Western Kenya. Then at the same time, another strand of them is in Luo Nyanza. They are saying we are going to give it to Gladys Wanga. Junet Mohammed, when he's in Western, will say we are going to give it to Oparanya. When he's in Homabay, he will say, oh, this thing is ours, it must now come here. Someone else is in Mount Kenya region, is saying, oh, we are going to keep it here. This is yours. So they're using baits against a broad visionary agenda. Because what you're seeing happening in Linda Mwananchi is not Sifuna. It has even taken Sifuna by surprise. He did not even expect that he would anytime soon be talking about running for president. He was articulating a seriously people felt need, saying no to William Ruto. Like a gentleman in New Zealand some years back, he was called David Longi, who started saying no to what the government of the day was doing. Then people told David Longi that you are going to be our leader, and we want you to become the Prime Minister of New Zealand. You are going to lead this party. And David Longi is saying, now how? That was not what I wanted. I was just articulating a vision. And that's what Sifuna has been doing until he finds himself in a place where he's fitting in snugly in what not just the people of Western are saying, but the country at large is saying. If people have been saying that we don't want Ruto, no to Ruto, if people have been saying Ruto must go, they have not been equally clear on then who comes in. They would ask, then so who? And the young people in particular have been saying, we would like total change. We would like a new person. We would like someone who is arriving with clean hands. We would like to see generational change. And Edwin Sifuna then comes virtually from nowhere, so to speak, and he fits in like a new glove. So, when, therefore, Ruto goes to camp in Western, which is his home base, he's Nairobi's senator, but Western Kenya is home base. There's a sense in which they own him. He wastes his effort. He should be looking for softer ground elsewhere to go and invest his energies there. He needs to read the parable of the sower, where Jesus talked about a person who went out sowing seed. Some of it fell on the path and a bird came and ate it. Another one fell among thorns, and as it grew, the thorns choked it. Another one grew on soft ground. He should go and look for soft ground. Mount Kenya is a rock. And when Mount Kenya is not a rock, it is a path. He goes there with mattresses, he goes there with gas cylinders, he goes there with boards, and the birds come and they eat those things. When he goes back to find now his harvest, he finds that where he expected 90%, he's getting 13% because the birds ate his seed and went with it. Western are thorns. He's going to waste his seed there. One day when he goes back thinking that he has gone to harvest, he will find that the thorns have choked his crop and there is nothing for him to harvest. So he should ask himself whether there is any soft ground left and spend more time there, because he's dealing with a movement whose time has come, and a movement that believes it has found youthful leadership. And make no mistake, when you talk about youthful leadership, it's just youthful relative to the age of these other people who are trying to run, people like Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, Wycliffe Oparanya, who are positioning themselves, saying they are biding their time and bidding for leadership in the future. 2032. 2032, my brother, a chicken, since we are speaking about chickens, it's the season of chickens, kuku, tingoho. A chicken sits on its clutch of eggs for 21 days. After 21 days, the eggs must hatch into chicks. Mudavadi has had his 21 days as an egg.
But he's thinking of hatching in 2032.
He can't. Those are the bad eggs that get spoiled. You don't keep the chicken on the eggs forever. They will rot. Some of them rot when, and in fact, they burst. Yeah, they burst. They explode. They are called the burst. They explode and produce very foul-smelling ammonia sulfide, which has been accumulating in the bowels because the cuckoo is sitting on the eggs. There are others which are called the germs. The germs are the ones which begin in the incubation. They start turning into a chick, but the chick dies early in its life. And when you open the shell, you find a small chickling that is dead. Those are called the germs. Then there are those that are called dead in the shell eggs, that it actually matures. And Davadi would be a dead in the egg, in the shell egg, Weta, and even Oparanya, because they seem to have reached that level. But they are dead. Those eggs are dead. no matter how long you put mother hen on those eggs, they are dead. So get rid of them, throw them away. There's nothing you can do with them. You cannot cook them, you cannot remove those dead things and wash them and fry. Their time is up. They should make way for the new generation. Basically to attempt to slow down the people's faith in the possibility of an Edwin Sifuna leadership, that you are seeing people who then are positioned as spoilers, that if the mountain is lost, and it sure is lost, the next numerously populated region that you want to go to is Western, and you don't want to lose it. And since you want to run yourself as a president, the most you could offer them is deputy president. But you're also completely confused about whom to offer it to as a bait. And that's why one day you say it is Weta, because there's been a lot of that while Linda Mwananchi has been going around the country. You have seen that there has been a team trooping around Mr. Wetangula, saying that this is the next person in 2032. But you have also been seeing others saying it is Oparanya, it is Mudavadi, and now Oparanya enters the fray. We are going to hear more and more of that, because they must do everything they want, they possibly could, in wanting to derail Sifuna. But what they forget is that this is not about Sifuna. It's a movement. It's a movement about Kenyans. It's a movement about Kenyan youth. And yes, it is a movement also within the Mulembe Nation, because the Mulembe Nation has been the sleeping giant in this country. And there are pundits who will tell you that the one thing they have been waiting to see is the day the sleeping giant called the Mulembe Nation would wake up. And Sifuna, having learned a lot from Raila Odinga, begins by going to other places, outposts. Then he goes back home, like Jesus Christ, going back to Nazareth. And the people of Nazareth are telling him, do here also in your home what we have heard you have been doing in Samaria and in other places out there. Now do it also here in Judea, your home. And hence the kind of excitement that you have seen. He can take a running mate from Western. It will not change anything. I'm not even saying it is not likely to change anything. No, it will not change anything. He can take a running mate from Mount Kenya. It will not change anything. The movement that you are seeing playing out in Mount Kenya and in Western is like a wild forest fire. And wild forest fires, once they have begun, because what does a wild forest fire need? It needs heat. And there's been a lot of political heat in this country. Heat which is even generated by Ruto himself. So you have got that political heat. It needs oxygen. And there's the oxygen of the political conversations that you have been seeing all over the place. And President William Ruto does provide that heat. Then it needs fuel. And the fuel are the grievances that the Kenyan population has. So the movement will go on. These wild political fires from Western and from the mountain are going just to come and converge on William Ruto's presidency, regardless of where he gets his running mate. He said that about Michael Wamalwa's fire in the year 2002. He said that Mudavadi did of the Mwai Kibaki fire, the NAC fire in 2002. Remember that their symbol was a torch of fire, which they called Mwenge. And Musalia Mudavadi said it was a pepper fire that was going nowhere. And that pepper fire sent him into sabbatical from Sabbatia for 5 years, and Karanga fried him in the frying pan on that pepper fire for 5 years. He reads it wrong all the time. The only reason he got it right in 2022 was that he had people like ourselves around who told him William is going to win this thing. If you want to be in government, join him. And now, we, the self-same people who told him William is going to win this thing, we are telling him William is going to lose this thing. And if you are there with him, you are going to lose with him. It's a foolish fly that follows the corpse into the grave, thinking that it has found food that it's going to be feeding on for a very long time.
If Ruto wants to make some move, where?
He's going to get a portion of Rift Valley. Blood is thicker than water, and there are people who will go with him out of the factor that social science calls consanguinity. Sisi ni wadamu moja. He's going to get a bit of that. He might have a small slew of the rest of the Kamatusa vote. But when I look in the crystal ball, I see shrinking fortunes for William Ruto, shrinking fortunes that have been driven by his hubris and this dismissive arrogance, this character of knowing it all and thinking that everybody else is stupid, as he says. I see shrinking fortunes, and I see the pride that comes before a fall. And if I were to fear for him, I would fear that his opportunities are increasingly becoming like the opportunities of the snowball in hell.
So where does he get the runway?
I don't know. I think that will be for him to decide.
As an analyst, where do you think?
I've given you my analysis, and my analysis is telling you that he's between the devil and the deep sea. How he wangles his way from that horrific place between the rock and the hard place, the devil and the deep sea. It's difficult for my instruments of analysis to help him. Sifuna redefines the political space in its totality. He redefines it within the opposition ranks. He redefines it within the broader context that brings in Kenya Kwanza. You have seen that within the opposition ranks, people like Eugene Wamalwa seem to be unhappy about his rising or his risen star. They really feel that they should be the ones there. But, you know, as I said, these things have happened organically. If you have sat there and you are also part of these bad eggs, and remember that in classifying the eggs, I gave you about 4, 5 different eggs when we are coming out of the incubator. They are the good eggs that hatch. They are the dead in the shell eggs. And you can look at who among the politicians in government and the opposition fits the bill. The dead in the eggshells, the chick matures almost to the point of coming out, but then it dies. Some people in the opposition fit that bill. Then you have got the germs, the germ eggs, G-E-R-M. The germ eggs, you can ask people in poultry. And I know because I come from Ingoholand in Kakamega. The germs, the chick dies in the early stages of maturation. Maybe that is where Eugene Wamalwa belongs. Then you have got the empty ones. They do not mature, but also there is no chick. And some people who do not mind the smell will boil those ones and eat. And finally, you have got the busts, the ones which do not have anything except very dirty, dark water that when it bursts, it smells very bad. So after the chicks come out, you have the rest of the 4. And as they say, the chickens are coming home to roost for everyone.
The deputy part of Sifuna here as we close it up.
I'm still looking in the crystal ball, and I don't want you to go forever. So I want you to come back, but it's going to have to be a new generation individual. Remember that 75% of the voters next year, and this is statistical, are going to be aged between 18 and 35. So this is a turning point in Kenya's history. The country must undergo renewal, and new people, young people, are coming on board. They have come, they are here. You can't wish them away. If you are my age, if you are a few years younger than I am, if you are a few years ahead of me, look at yourself as a coach and as a mentor, not as a competitor. We have just come from the World Cup, and you saw that the star that is called Messi got into very messy space in the finals against Spain. He hardly saw the ball. He hardly touched the ball. In fact, seeing he probably did see a bit as the most privileged spectator, because he was spectating from the pitch when other people were spectating from the terraces and from television. When you get to a certain age in your life, even at home, in your family, give way to new people. I was a broadcaster like yourselves in my youthful years. And when I said you are listening to the voice of Kenya, it was the voice of Barrack speaking as the voice of Kenya. We've had to leave that space for you guys. In politics and leadership, in everything in life, you must know when it is time to hang up your boots.